Now, in the wake of the largest mass shooting in modern U.S. history, many ask why such tragic and terrifying shootings are increasing in frequency. What factors are driving this alarming trend in the U.S.? To discuss this further, I was joined earlier by author John Whitehead, a constitutional attorney and author of this book called Battlefield America: The War on the American People. And he's also president of the Rutherford Institute, who just wrote this article called Mass Shootings: The Military Entertainment Complex's Culture of Violence Turns Deadly. I first asked John what factors, apart from an individual's pathology, contributed to this sort of attack.
Well, we live in a very violent culture, but it's directed by what we call the military-industrial complex, the very thing that President Eisenhower warned against. His 1961 farewell address, he says, do not let the military-industrial complex take over. But we're the biggest exporter of war in the world, the biggest exporter of weapons in the world. And we brought a lot of that home, by the way. The average policeman in this country today is carrying military-grade weapons. In the 1980s, there were 3,000 SWAT team raids. Now there are over 80,000 a year occurring in this country where police are blasting through doors in the middle of the night in heavily armed military gear given to them, by the way, the Pentagon. Kids are getting shot. They shoot hundreds of dogs a day. Adults are getting shot and killed, and very seldom do we hear much about that, but that's happening across the country. We have over about 1 million armed officers running around this country with military-grade weapons, MRAPs, some with hollow point bullets, by the way, which expand on contact. So, and we've allowed to get into the entertainment industry. So it's everywhere. It permeates the country. But the crazy thing is we have more firearms in this country than we do adults, but it's not homicides, which are the major reason people are getting killed by guns. It's suicides. But the country is basically run by the military-industrial complex, is what I call it, and it's in every facet of life, by the way, movies, TV shows, even our sports.
Sure, and now even the CEO of the NRA, Wayne LaPierre, just came out with a statement blaming Hollywood for promoting what he calls gun irresponsibility. Do you agree with him that Hollywood is perhaps hypocritical when it comes to gun violence, because they claim to be against it, but on screen, that's what they depict? Listen,
Avengers, Superman, Wonder Woman, I've seen those movies. The Transformer movie, I was watching it with my granddaughter. We finally walked out. Everything is influenced by guns, the military, people getting crashed to the ground, and they create, by the way, an unrealistic environment where people are flying through the air, smashing their heads, these so-called heroes, and getting up and walking off without any injuries. But you know, there are consequences to pay. But as I show in my recent commentary, which people can read on Rutherford.org about the mass shootings, is it's driven by Hollywood. Hollywood's actually influenced or helped write over 1,800 movies and TV shows in this country in recent years. So they're actually setting and writing scripts. People from the Pentagon.
Yeah, I mean, how do you
glorify a certain aspect of society like guns and violence, which we do, you're going to get the consequences, and the consequences are not going to be good.
Yeah, I like that in your essay, you kind of mashed the two names together and called it militainment. And like you said, with over 1,800 movies and TV shows, you do then believe that it does influence the rise of these mass shootings in recent years.
Well, also, too, in sporting events, between 2012 and 2015, the Pentagon poured over $53 million into sporting events, the ceremonies at halftime, the flyovers, the anthem, and all that. What it does is it creates a military environment where people are, Obama actually dropped 26,000 bombs the last year he was in office. And Trump's doing the same thing now, dropping bombs in the Middle East, killing people, children, hospitals recently, schools, and people just shrug. Well, that's what you're going to get when you promote that kind of idea. It's not good for us to be exporting weapons around the world. I've talked to former servicemen, by the way, whom I've helped in certain situations, who tell me they've actually captured weapons from the so-called enemy, and they said, John, I was shocked. They're American-made weapons.
And you know what, John, can you talk a little bit about how Hollywood is connected with militarism and how they kind of play off of each other?
Well, they help fund certain movies. You go back to the day when my kids were growing up, Top Gun, big movie at the time, was underwritten by the Pentagon. They even sat and helped write the scripts so that the military always looks favorable in those movies. It's heroic to smash through and do all the things that the military is doing. So they create this idea that you can just go around shooting people. But the other thing is, and this is really key, by funding all this equipment to local police now who look like the military, dress like the military, and crash through doors in the middle of the night, they're doing knock and talk now in military gear in cities across the country, banging on people's door in the middle of the night. People have shown up at the door thinking it's a burglar, and they've gotten shot through the door by the police. We are promoting that, but where are the police getting all this gear there? It's coming from the military. So it was the same thing, though. George Washington and the so-called founders warned against the standing army. We have a military army on the American soil now, and it's called the local police. And they're actually being trained, by the way, the SWAT teams, by the military out of bases like Quantico in Virginia.
Absolutely fascinating, your recent essay. Everybody should go out and read it. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us. That's John Whitehead, constitutional attorney and president at the Rutherford Institute. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.